do you think that you look at race matters somewhat differently? Because yes, you're the first African American president, but your mother was white. You were raised by your mother and your white grandparents.
Yeah.
Does that give you a different perspective, do you think?
I think it probably does. I wrote a whole book about this, and there's no doubt that I've moved back and forth between the racial divides, not just black-white, but Asian and Latino, and I've got a lot of cultural influences. I think what it does do for me is to recognize that most Americans have good intentions. I said a little bit about this in a press conference earlier today. I assume the best rather than the worst in others. But it also makes me mindful of the fact that there's misunderstanding, there's mistrust, and there are biases, both overt and sometimes hidden, that operate in ways that disadvantage minority communities. And that's a carryover. There's a long legacy in this country that has gotten enormously better, but is still there. And when you look at what's happened in law enforcement across the country over the last several years, that's not news to African Americans. What's different is simply that some of it's now videotaped and people see it. And the question then becomes, what practical steps can we take to solve this problem? And I believe that the overwhelming majority of white Americans, as well as African Americans, want to see this problem solved. So I have confidence that by surfacing these issues, we're going to be able to make progress on them.
I asked because I listened to Tavis Smiley talk about your BET interview, and he said the president should stop telling black people to wait. He should stop telling us that it takes time. He should stop saying it's different from 50 years ago. Go tell that to the parents of these dead children. And I wonder, does that come into you? Does that hurt? Do you think they don't get me? I mean, I feel like this is difficult to be president of all the United States and yet have so much expected of you.
Oh, if I spend too much time worrying about critics, I'd be not getting a lot of stuff done here. There's no reason for folks to be patient. I'm impatient. That's why, in the wake of what happened in Ferguson and what happened in New York, we've initiated a task force that in 90 days are going to be providing very specific recommendations. On the other hand, I think an unwillingness to acknowledge that progress has been made cuts off the possibility of further progress. If critics want to suggest that America is inherently and irreducibly racist, then why bother even working on it? I've seen change in my own life. So has this country. And those who would deny that, I think, actually foreclose the possibility of further progress rather than advancing it.